Oh, Kitty Coo stopped by. Good morning, Kitty Coo. I hope you have a wonderful vacation. Thank you for sharing the photos with me. Sherry, good morning. Loud noise. Sorry about that. Forgot to turn the mic back up. Kind of hard to hear me when it's turned off. But good morning, Kitty Coo, and thank you for sharing the photos with me. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your vacation. And Sherry, good morning to you as well. Hope everyone had a wonderful week. So nice that it's not freezing anymore, at least where I am. We finally are having decent temperatures. And it's only going to be in the 60s today where I am, but I mean, that's perfectly good for me. Good morning, Sprinkle Donut and Gemma. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you both had a wonderful week. Glad you could be here with me this morning. It's World Autism Month, Will. I'm celebrating all things autism. Uh, so yesterday we have a society, I guess you could, the best way to worldwide, so you can understand it. They're a group of people, but they're a society that is called the ARC, and we went to a social gathering, which let's just be completely honest. It had a lot of people who were there who were on the spectrum, and other people with other disabilities, and barriers to living and education and housing, and so on and so forth. All right, I've never seen a larger group of people that they felt and they looked like they were so out of place. And they have one of these every like 3 months. But it was a great event. It just took a long time to get things actually going once we got there. But I'm waiting for my puppy to be delivered today. I'm so very excited. Ooh, well, congratulations on the new puppy, Sherry. But we had a lot of fun. They had like an hors d'oeuvre table, like snacks and stuff like that, and they had punch and those little tiny plastic juice things. I haven't seen those since I was a kid. They come in a little barrel. I don't know if anybody else remembers those. Come in like grape and cherry and orange, lime, but the little plastic barrels of juice thing. I don't know where they got them from, but I haven't myself. I hadn't seen them since I was a kid, but they somebody found them. It was a nice event though, and there was children of all ages, and then there were some teens and adults also on the spectrum, and one of the guys who's kind of like the chaperone, he has Down syndrome, and he has got a heart of gold. Danny is just like one of the best people I've and the happiest people I've ever met. Yeah, we have Autism Society here too, that has events. I'm working on a lot of content. Cool. She's a whole 8 weeks and 1 pound even. Yeah, a mini Yorkie. Wow. It's just a little one. You can put those things like in a purse thing. Little Yorkies. At least the Yorkie, my friend, she used to have one. Sadly, it got I think cancer is what finally took it. Unfortunately, but now she has Pekingese. It happens though. Lucky, who's over here on the shelf. Lucky, he had liver disease and dysplasia. How am I, Gemma? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. My daughter works and with teaching autistic preschoolers. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that takes a harder goal to do something like that. Wish more people would, because it's really hard. And I know, at least in my area, to find people that want to do it and then have the skill set to be able to do it, correctly. You need a lot of patience, and you need to be flexible and learn, and be able to work with them on their abilities. Well, I saw your post yesterday. At the first, I thought you were canceling Coffee Brew. I was sad for a minute. Oh no, Sprinkle Donuts. I'm just going to make this show. I'll get into it a little bit later here. It, it's just it hasn't. I've been asking around, and that's one of the things you have to do as a creator is you always have to be flexible to the point where you're willing to listen to the feedback, and so you can grow. Because doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome, that's the actual definition of insanity. So I'm just going to be tweaking it a little bit to actually be more interactive and more of what the audience at this point and down the right now has been asking for and is more interested in. So it's not going away. Neither is trivia. This Saturday and Sunday. If everything else ended tomorrow, I would be okay with it. But Saturday and Sundays are always going to be the same. I'm always going to be here because this is it's kind of like my therapy and my enjoyment throughout the week. And I'm being absolutely honest about that. I mean, I enjoy doing this. This is what I really like doing. Amelia, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you, Amelia. Kyra, Oka, Ora, Kyra, Ora. All right. So this we're gonna still do the crime recap kind of. It's kind of like that, but instead of me giving you links and overwhelming you and telling you just what happened in it, I'm going to give you the recap of it and then discussion about the actual things that took place within it. So the show is not called the crime recap show anymore. It's Coffee Brew Crime in Chat, and that's what we're doing right now here in the side. We're doing a live chat. So this is in essence of what I'm doing. I'm changing the format slightly of Coffee Brew Show. I have taken a close look at the crime recap show, considering both data and analysts and feedback from the long-term viewers. It's become apparent that in current format no longer aligns with their schedules or interests. Over time, the content has shifted more towards stories that I'm personally interested in, and that is like the largest feedback that I have gotten is I keep on every week for like the last year. I have been talking about cases that have interested me that and I've been posting links to them and saying, hey, if you want to follow up on it. And I have it's called a click counter that is part of the program for what you're looking at right now. So when I post an actual live link there, it tells me how many people, I don't know who clicks on the links, or how long they even go view the stories that I posted. But it's only about 10 or 15 people, per show click on the links and actually follow them. But anyways, have interested me rather than resonated with my audience. As a result, I've decided to pivot the show to a chat and Q&A format, which is with some parts focusing on top true crime stories. I hope this adjustment will reignite the interest among my subscribers and encourage active participation in the stream. Do you think you'll ever go back and share info that from earlier autopsies and the Christopher Watts case. Cher C. And good morning, Cher. Um, let's see. First off, there is no autopsy reports that are viable to share on any of the victims in the Christopher Watts case. All of the case file when it comes to Shannon, Bella, and Celeste, and unborn baby Nico, all of that information has been sealed indefinitely by the state of Colorado, along with the Ruschek family and the Watts family, all signed off on permanently sealing all discovery and all information from and there was no complete autopsy. There was a preliminary examination of all the victims, but um, I don't cover the Christopher Watts case in itself. Um, I leave that more up to like the YouTube channel Watts Obsessed. She does a really good job with what she was doing. I was just over there last night on her live stream, but yeah, I don't cover that case anymore. And just to say at that point, unless something newsworthy comes up about Christopher Watts, like he was murdered in prison, then I would cover, Christopher Watts. So, and he hasn't been murdered yet. So let me make sure I put that out there. I've been watching you for a long time. You had a VIP info in the early days. Yeah, I saw you there. Well, thank you, Sherry. Yeah, I enjoy Watts Obsessed. You know, I enjoy her content. I really do. If you guys haven't checked out her channel, you really should. If you're really interested in the Christopher Watts case, that's the perfect place to go. All right. So Chad Daybell is the first one I wanted to talk about today. So this past week, they as of yesterday, they now have 52, and there needs to be clear, 52 potential jury members. The court is seeking approximately 60 actual jury members. What they're putting together is it's in the early stage. They gave questionnaires to hundreds of people and then narrowed it down so far to 52, but the court wants 60. Then they're going to go through and they're going to the prosecution and the defense can object for any reason. They don't even have to give a reason. They just say, we'd like to dismiss juror number 14, 11, 22, and 25. And then the judge will then look to the other side and say, do you have any objections to removing those jury members? And they'll say no or yes, they do. And then if for which ones they object to, then they will question the actual jury member themselves on why one side wants them removed and why the other side decides that they want to keep them. And then there's going to be people who are going to say, hey, I can't be here because I've already watched a Netflix special on this, or I've already made up my mind that we should hang Chad from the nearest tree, and those people are going to get removed. So it'll eventually narrow itself down to 12 active jury members, and then 5 alternatives or 6 alternate jury members. And this happens in every jury trial. It may not be 60, potential jury members that they narrowed down to from the original thousands of jury summonses they send out, but they narrow it. Give you an example of a case that I was on. It was a malpractice lawsuit. Because every March I always get a jury summons. It's like clockwork the first week of March. And I didn't tell anybody about it because it happens to me every year. And 9 times out of 10, I personally know the district court judge, or at least one of them. And that usually just gets me dismissed right then and there if he is sitting on the actual trial itself, on the bench. But when I got called for that malpractice suit, they called, they sent out 225 or 250-ish jury summonses, and about 110 actually showed up. Yeah, it was less than 50%, but it was close to 50% actually showed up. A lot of people don't answer them, or and you think, well, that's a violation of the law. It is. I mean, they actually hold you in contempt for that, for not responding to your jury summons. But then there's also those who, maybe they moved or they're out of town or things get lost in the mail and misdirected. I've gotten mail from my neighbor and my neighbor's gotten mail for me. But anyways, but so they had 110 people who were there for the jury pool itself, and they brought us into the courtroom, and it filled the entire courtroom, and then the jury box, and each and every one of us had a number, and they gave us a packet. We sat down with a clipboard and a pen, and we filled out the questionnaires and then turned them in. And then they gave us a voucher to go down to the cafeteria in our courthouse to get a pre-made sandwich was wrapped up in saran wrap that were disgusting, and a soda or a coffee. And but they took a 45-minute break, and then we all came back in, filled the courtroom, and then they started eliminating right off the bat. I think there was like 30 people immediately as they came in, and they said, if you get if we call your number, please stand up. And then with the judge on the bench and the prosecution and the defense, they then said, okay, if your number is called and you're standing right now, you're free to go. And I just happened to be one of the members that was, who potential jury members who was standing up at that point. So, because they called my number and they let us go. And then like 3 weeks later, I got a check, it was 2 weeks later. I got a check in the mail for $41.25. That was my day of jury duty. Now, if you get paid $40 and you make $150 a day, or $200 a day, or whatever you might make per day. I mean, even at minimum wage, you'd make more than $40 in a day, and you have to take off the entire day because you don't know how long you're going to be there. And I've seen jurors, potential jury pools that have broken. They didn't get done that night until 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then they let them go for the day, and they brought them back the next day. So you have to take the whole day off. But we're in the really early stages for the Chad Daybell case, and the jury selection. And I have tried to watch this on East Idaho News, and who has been streaming the actual jury, live, with Nate, Easton, and somewhat. I try to watch it, but it's extraordinarily boring to me. Good morning, Cement Shoes. Welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew. All right, next one is, these are the victims. Never forget the victims. These are the victims that Chad Daybell is actually being charged with murder of. Not all of his crimes, but these are the actual murdered victims. JJ is to the right. Ty Lee is to the left, upper left, and Tammy, his former wife, is in the middle. He is also charged with a litany of other charges as well. And good luck to Chad Daybell and all of his supporters. And yes, there is a very large network of people in a Facebook group that is closed, some are LDS members and others are members of other groups and individuals who are in a closed Facebook group who are actually believe in the innocence of Chad Daybell. I'd give you the name, but even if you put it into Facebook, you couldn't find it because it's a closed group. You can't even see what the hell they're talking about. But anyways, they're there. I think the last time I was actually looking at the group, there was like 1,500 members in it. Next is Richard Allen. Richard Allen is the accused murderer from Delphi, Indiana. He is accused of killing Abby and Libby in Delphi, Indiana. Now, this past week, the defense actually filed a motion along with a sealed, and of course it's sealed, motion, and it just, they only listed as it was discovery or evidence N, N as in Nancy, along with the motion that they plan to call it a state certified someone who is actually they've testified before. I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this. They have testified as a witness, a professional witness. That means that they're paid, but they have testified before in the past about the development and brain damage of an individual, which, for the defense actually filing that motion that they, and discovery, part of discovery in this case, brings into question, will Richard Allen and his defense be looking at a mental health defense, like, saying that he was clinically insane at the time of the murders itself, and and also trying to take away, look, he didn't mean to confess to the crime. He was under duress at the time, and this is why, and that's why we're calling this witness, is to negate what he may have said. We know he confessed to his wife, his grandmother, and we know he confessed to a member of the actual jail itself, that he killed Abby and Libby. And in nowhere in any of that defense or confessions that he gave, and those the recall to his wife and to his grandmother confessing to the actual murder of Abby and Libby, he nowhere in there mentioned Norse gods or anyone else involved in his confessions. All of that is completely new, and well, it has definitely taken the internet by storm and has moved people onto thinking that there are other people who are possibly involved, and there's some Wiccan religion or Norse gods sacrifice involved in it. The internet loves that kind of stuff, but there's actually nothing factual about it at all right now for those who have actually been following the case. So it makes you wonder if they're really going to call into account his mental health as possible part of the defense in this. Additionally, his attorneys have now raised all the money that they had set a goal for. They had opened a GoFundMe, and they also opened a direct to me funding to raise money to be able to hire experts to be able to testify in his defense. Now, as crazy as that sounds, why would an attorney have to go and start a GoFundMe to come up with the money for defense? Why would they even have to do that? Well, the judge and the prosecution, blocked them actually being able to get the $25,000 to be able to hire witnesses. But they had recourse on top of that. And if they really needed the money to hire expert witnesses, and the state, said, no, we're not going to give you the money to do that, they could go to the state attorney general's office and petition them, and they most likely would have gotten the money that way. Because if you deny them the ability to offer a complete defense for Richard Allen, he's going to win on appeal. You can't just say, look, we've got an endless pocketbook, and we're just going to throw everything at you and hire every possible expert out there to prosecute you and find you guilty, but we're not going to give you the ability to aid your own defense. You're going to win that on appeal. That's a hands down easy way to win. But it's more like the prosecution has been dragging their feet and just toying with the defense. Like, nah, we're not going to give it to you. And then later on, when they don't think they're going to get it, then they give it to them. But anyways, right now, his defense team has actually raised the money, not hired, They've hired the first expert, which they filed the actual paperwork for that I was just talking about, to talk about his actual mental capacities and abilities at the time of the confessions and when he may have committed the crimes. That is one of the first experts that they wanted to hire, and they needed the $25,000 for. So they got that $25,000, and his attorney said that they're going to keep the GoFundMe and the direct to me funding, both options open, because they may need to hire more experts down the road, and if the state's going to keep on toying with them and not giving them their money, that they're going to need that funding and that option. Hiring experts, Amelia, is pretty common when it comes to the legal system here in the United States. The state will hire experts. The defense will hire experts to come into court and give testimony on, was this accident caused at, a car doing 45 miles an hour, an accident recreationist. That person is paid a flat rate to come and testify in a case, and maybe they're testifying for the state, in an accident, or the defense in an accident, or maybe you're suing the insurance company, because they don't want to cover your car accident. Your attorney will hire an expert to come into court to show it wasn't your fault that you caused, that this accident was caused. It was because of a mechanical issue with the make and model of your car. But it happens a lot, for everything from civil cases to criminal cases. Yeah, it may sound dodgy, but it is an actual real thing that happens every day. And to your other comment, I feel a lot of sympathy, and I feel sorry towards Abby and Libby's family, and they've gone through hell, and the internet has not been kind to them as well, especially when they were raising the money to open the memorial park for Abby and Libby. A lot of people accused the family of embezzling the money and buying new pickup trucks and taking vacations with the money that was raised, when they were very open and upfront about where every single penny of it went. And complete accounting for it all has been transparent from day one. But it didn't stop the internet from coming and attacking them and saying that they were somehow profiting from the loss of both of them. I can understand hiring experts to discuss facts. However, Richard's mental health is speculation at best. Yeah, that definitely can go either way, Amelia. If there is really something truly wrong with his brain, maybe he has a previous head injury that made the part of the brain that controls compulsive actions. Maybe that part of his brain was damaged in a previous accident. I don't know that. I mean, I don't know his medical records, but that wouldn't be speculation. That'd be factual if they have to hire someone to say, look, this is what's wrong with this man's brain. Does it take away from the culpability for what crimes he has allegedly done? No, but you still have to hire him anyways. All right, next one. These are the victims. Do not forget the victims of this crime. These stories are true crime, are interesting to learn about, but never forget the real story. The real story is the victims who were taken, from us all, and their families, that suffered through it all. Abby and Libby. They're the ones that we need to seek justice for, instead of holding, the perpetrator, of the alleged crimes up on a pedestal. We should always remember the victims. The bridge collapse in Baltimore. Man, what a tragic loss. I've actually driven across that bridge in both directions, and it was a main vital artery to the in and around, getting in and around. I think if you live or work anywhere nearby the port there, it would probably add an hour and a half commute just to get around there. because I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be that normal of a long drive, but you would definitely, have backlog, traffic, try to get around it otherwise. The cleanup of the bridge is still ongoing and will take some time to complete. They are working night and day, though, to open shipping lanes for cargo, which is going to make it harder down the road. Think about it. How do you build a bridge over water in that large span? And when you're doing it over the top of one of the busiest shipping channels on the east coast of the United States. Right now, the estimates for just to replace, not to fix any other part of the on ramp or off ramp or approaches, as you can call them, for the bridge. The estimates are between 460 million and $1 billion. It would reach up to the $1 billion earmark if that is the case, because if they have to adjust and change the approach from either side for a new bridge, plus put in extra safety, to make sure that this never happens again. And according to engineering every day, when he broke down the actual force of that ship going at 8 knots, which is approximately 9 miles an hour, and no actual ability to have redundancy for steering, there is no bridge in the world that would have survived a 9 mile an hour hit like that. And you have to think about the total mass of the ship, the drag coefficient on the water, and that entire thing, moving towards, that pylon of the bridge. There is no bridge that anywhere in the world that would have been able to survive a direct hit to one of the pylons. Would it have been as massive as taking down that entire bridge for other bridges out there? That's speculation, at best. Engineering, it at the time that the bridge was built, it passed and was better than the safety requirements when it was built. And additionally, on top of that, it has passed inspection every single year. Now, at the time when the bridge was hit, there were workers on the bridge that were fixing potholes on the bridge itself, which actually, for being in Baltimore, it wasn't all that bad of condition. There were some, there always is, but it's like my friends and my family back home always say, there are three seasons in this world. There is winter, and road construction. Those are the three seasons of the year. Makes absolutely no sense to you, Amelia. Well, it is. It is our own unique system. We've taken parts from the European, system of justice. We've added some of our own. We've taken from, the other courts from around the world, and we've melted it just like America into one giant melting pot to make it our own system. And for better or worse, this is the system we have, and it takes an awful long time. It feels like to get things through the system of justice, but there are supposed to be safeguards in place. People call them roadblocks when you want to go right after other people. And we know that if you have an awful lot of money, you can buy your freedom in this country. It definitely, it favors the rich over the poor. But that is it for the the cases that of the week. Every one of the ones that I just showed you are ranked by Google as number 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are not the stories I would have picked. I would have picked, to talk about Gypsy Rose Blanchard or, other cases, but these are the ones that people say that they're interested in. And not only were they Google ranked, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but they also are equally tied right in the top 5 for internet for searches on YouTube. Alex Murdoch hasn't been able to buy his freedom because he doesn't have any money left, Cement. He didn't have any money left before he killed, before he killed his wife and his son. He may have been rich, but he was drowning in debt. He didn't have the way, even his stupid idea of paying that guy. You remember that? He paid him to kill him, to make it look like, roadside, road rage incident, like he was changing a tire and it was going to kill him. He didn't even want to pay that guy. Pay a real hitman to kill him. He is just a bumbling fool. But when it comes to paying to get your freedom in this country, look at insider traders who bought their freedom out of prison, away from any type of real punishment. Oh, or the O.J. Simpson bought his way out of a murder conviction. It definitely favors the rich a lot more than the average person or someone who's poor. Yet you go to an inner city court, in Chicago, and watch someone who's on defense, being prosecuted for murder in that situation, in that courtroom. They're not able to hire expert witnesses. They're lucky if their defense attorney has, maybe 20 hours total from beginning to end to aid in their own defense, because the public defender is so overwhelmed, where the state has an endless budget, and they can, if this attorney is overworked, they'll just bring in another assistant prosecuting attorney. You can take it over. You can prosecute this case, and we'll take your caseload and put it, over on these, divide it up. They don't do that with the public defenders, and I mean, unless you've got $10,000 or $25,000 to hire experts to aid in your own defense. A lot of times, people ask this question a lot. Why do people plead guilty, to things that they didn't do? Because they want to plead guilt. They plead guilty to it to get the damn thing behind them, so they can go home, so they can go back to work, so they can come back to their families. And those prosecutions will haunt them forever, even though they didn't do anything wrong. Maybe they were 100% innocent, out of state, not anywhere near. And you think that that's never going to happen to you. But I mean, it's, look at the Innocence Project. They have statistics on how many people from across the United States since the 1980s have pled guilty to crimes, smaller crimes, but they've pled guilty to them where they were not even around. They didn't do it. There was no real evidence against them, but they were charged and they took a guilty plea, or they did an Alford plea, which is like a guilty plea. Saying that an Alford plea is, I'm not saying that I'm guilty. I'm not saying that I'm innocent, but I believe that they have enough evidence to prove that I'm guilty of this crime. But they'll take that a plea deal to just make it go away. You do the crime, you pay the time in the UK. Yeah? I still can't believe Jesse Rose found a guy who looked just like her mother and married him. Good thing they're getting divorced, right? Yeah. Sentences for serious crimes are, well, let's hear it. Abysmal. Yeah, there's a lot of holes and a lot of things wrong with the American justice system. But in essence, it's the best system that we have. And the only way it's ever going to get fixed is by being diligent and wanting, and not letting people just roll it over and push it, underneath the rug at the state legislative level. You have to keep on them, and you have to build a grassroots support to get anything changed. And that's everywhere. It's not just my area; it's anywhere. And even if it's not a law, maybe it's a requirement or a school board directive, or a city council directive or ordinance that they've passed. It takes forever to get things changed. It feels like. I know in my area, we've been fighting with the code enforcement for years. For a house that I used to own that had bushes and trees that they said obscured the right of way of pedestrians on a sidewalk. I didn't have any bushes. And the only tree I had was in the backyard of that house. But they said, you owe us $50. And even though I could prove to them with GPS data and pictures of my house from some satellite, that you can see there's no bushes or trees in the front yard that obscure pedestrians right away, they said you're guilty. And I fought it and fought it and fought it, and I'm still going to fight it. I'm still going through it. To even now. I mean, 8 years, I'm still fighting it for $50. I guess I could just pay the $50 and so the whole thing goes away. Just like people plead guilty for things that they never did. I'm not going to pay the $50. I'll spend $1,000 to fight the $50 charge, just so I know that I was able to prove that I never did it. I never had the bushes. I never had the tree. I fought the law, and the law won. No, I fought city council, and I'm going to take them down. I'm going to make sure that they understand that they can't just be a bully, a steamroll, citizens. But that's what they get away with, and they go after everybody. If they don't, I mean, I could pay the $50. That's nothing to me at all. It's the system itself. A legal system isn't a justice system. True, Amelia, it isn't. The UK is quite good for convicting people who've recently, not as much, especially when it comes to certain crimes like sexual attacks. Mm. It is. At least it is, in my situation, sprinkled donut. It is all about the principle of it. Because I look at it this way: if I just pay the $50, to the city for these code enforcement infractions that they say that I had, who says that they're not going to come after, some little old lady, some grandmother who's on a fixed income, who's barely getting by, on Social Security, and she's actually, right now she's rationing out her life-saving, needing of medication because she can't afford that medication in full doses, but she's rationing it out. This happens a lot more than people know about. But they go after her, and they say that she didn't shovel her sidewalk, and she's 96 years old and she physically can't. And they show up when it first starts snowing and there's nothing on the ground yet. And then they show up and they take a picture of a snowbank in a sidewalk, but there's no way to tell it's actually hers. So they just keep on finding her over and over again during the wintertime because she didn't shovel her sidewalk. But there's no proof. They don't take pictures of the whole house and the yard and the sidewalk. No, they take a picture of snow and they take a picture of a sidewalk and they say, guilty, pay up. She can't afford that $50. She can't afford $150 because it's $50 for the first offense, $75 for the second, then it ramps up to $150, and then it keeps on going. It multiplies for every violation after that. Blue collar crimes get away with a lot here. The business is getting names suppressions for assault crimes. $50 is a lot. Yes, definitely a lot for some people. Sprinkled duds. So that's why I'm never going to give up on the fight. Unfortunately, though, I mean, it like the city council, and everything else, and code enforcement, it takes them forever to do anything. In 8 years, I've had 3 actual face-to-face meetings at the with the city over it, and the first one was the discovery. They showed me the pictures that they had. I told them that's not my house. I then had to supply a picture of my house. That was the second meeting, and then the third one we got to discuss why I hadn't actually paid the fine. And then they told me if I don't pay it, they're going to put a lien on my house and property for $50. And then I told them that, at this point, after all these years, I'm like, I haven't owned that house in X amount of time. You can't put a lien on my new home. You know, I think it was we hadn't had that house in 4 years at that point when they filed it. Like I'm still having to fight the harassment order to keep the Jehovah Witnesses. Is that what JW is? Jehovah Witnesses away from your property? Yeah, it's like the Mormon Church here, and I'm sorry for anybody who is, who is LDS, but uh, they won't leave us alone. We've told them we're not interested. I've actually told them that I'm an excommunicated member. I told them everything that they hate. I told them I was a Satanist. That I told them that I was homosexual. I told them everything. Just to make them just take me the hell off your list. But they won't listen to me. And we see the little missionary boys in their white, button-up shirts and tie on their bicycles, and they stop right in front of our house all the time. And the only way they can get into our area is they have to check in through the gate, the security gate at the because I live in a what's the best way to put it that everyone would understand. It's not a gated community, but it is. It's just restricted area. I am not rich by any means at all. This entire development was built for engineers and scientists who abandoned it back in the 80s when they had massive layoffs. And there was a whole giant development that was planned between here and the actual city, because it's actually outside of town, where they built roads, they put sidewalks in, but they never built homes. They never built anything. They keep on saying that another developer is going to move in and finish the rest of it off, but they never did. And they never do. Ankle monitoring home detention is CP is another one that happens too. Hmm. Makes you desirable to save. We had friends when I was in elementary school that they used to come over, and they had you all remember what a VHF tape is? VHS. That they used to have one that was for the LDS church. You had the guy who played on the television show on KRP in Cincinnati, Arthur Carlson, and it was a recruitment video for the LDS church. They used to come over all the time with the tape. I never saw them without it, but I don't. Religion is to each and every one. I don't care what religion you are, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever. I have no issue with any religion. Believe what you want, as long as you don't hurt other people in the name of your religion. I don't care. Will, do you think it's right that the police say they have religious freedom and I don't agree with it? I don't understand the context of that. So we're going to go back to say that it's the Jehovah Witnesses are the ones that have religious freedom. Um, are we talking about them harassing you? No, nobody should harass you. Or if you don't want them around or near you, you should be able to tell them, and they should. Law enforcement should keep them away from you. So if that's what you're speaking of with the last comment, everybody has the right to freedom of expression and religion. At least you should. I mean, obviously around the world that's not the same way, but here in America you definitely do. I'm truly sorry that they have been harassing you for years, and no one should deserves to be harassed by anyone like that, any group. Trespass, trespass order them. Yeah, but we're never going to join the LDS church, but that we see them. I mean, they camp right in front of us but they're on the sidewalk. As long as they don't touch the grass in my front yard, they're in what that's called a common place in our housing development, so they can be there. and we see them every week parked there with their bikes right in front of our house. That's what I'm trying to do now. The police have got multiple evidence of harassment, so I'm hoping they'll take my side again. But just keep on it, Gemma. Well, I'm going to end the stream there this morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a comment or something that you'd like to see, happen, take place regularly on the Saturday morning coffee brew, in the comment section after this video, not in the chat here, because for some reason, YouTube's right now we're having a lot of problems with replay of chats from live streams. We don't know what they did, but for some reason, you'll pull up a live stream of someone from yesterday or a week ago, and you may or may not. It's like a hit or miss if you're even going to see the chat from that stream. It could just be completely blank where the chat should be. But in the comment section after the video, if you have an idea of something you'd like to see, featured on Coffee Brew, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below. But on the way out, if you'll give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, if you like this or if you have a suggestion, whatever it might be, and if you're a subscriber, make sure you click on the subscriber button. If it says subscribe and it's a solid color, you're not subscribed. And you have to unsubscribe. You have to click it, and then it's going to bring a pop-up window to ask you if you want to unsubscribe or block. So, everyone, Gayla, I'm taking off. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I hope you have an awesome week, and hope the weather down there in Cali is nice, because right now where I am, it is 52 degrees, partly cloudy. So, everyone, I will see you all tomorrow for trivia night. No changes to trivia night, although this Sunday's trivia night is a subject matter and an individual that a lot of people are going to possibly have take offense to, but it was suggested. He's on the list, so I'm just working through the list of suggested topics and individuals for trivia night. But I hope to see you all tomorrow. Just been really busy on Volcano Channel. Hyper focus. Well, Amelia, you have a awesome day and weekend. It's cool here, but sunny. Might be a great day to make a cup of tea, or cocoa, and sit back, and, read a good book, Gayla. But bye, everyone.